Have you ever heard of Bernadette Subaru? The humble young woman whose visions changed the world. Her extraordinary story has inspired millions. But what if her prophecies also carry a dire warning for our modern age, especially as we approach the pivotal year of 2025? Could the events she foresaw over a century ago be coming true before our very eyes? In this video, we'll explore the incredible life of Bernadette and her miraculous encounters with the Virgin Mary. We'll uncover the secrets of her prophecies and connect them to the challenges of our time: extreme environmental crises, global instability, and the growing need for spiritual renewal. Stay with us as we analyze the deeper meaning of her warnings and reveal how they might serve as a guide for humanity today. If you're curious about the connection between faith, history, and the future, this is a story you don't want to miss. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to join us on this fascinating journey of discovery. Bernadette Subaru. Born on January 7, 1844, in the small village of Lourdes, France. Lived a life marked by both extraordinary faith and remarkable humility. She was the eldest of 9 children in a poor miller's family. And her early years were shaped by hardship, illness, and resilience. At the age of 14, Bernadette's life changed forever in a way that would not only transform her but also the entire town of Lourdes, and eventually the world. It was February 11, 1858, when Bernadette, while gathering firewood near the grotto of Massabielle, experienced her first vision. She described seeing a beautiful lady dressed in white, with a blue sash around her waist, a veil over her head, and a yellow rose on each foot. This radiant figure would later identify herself as the Immaculate Conception, a term Bernadette, with no formal education, couldn't have understood at the time. Over the next 5 months, Bernadette experienced 18 such apparitions, each filled with profound messages of faith, repentance, and hope. What makes Bernadette's story so compelling is her unshakable faith and simplicity amidst growing scrutiny. As news of her visions spread, she became the subject of intense public curiosity and skepticism. Religious authorities, local officials, and villagers all questioned her claims, often dismissing her as delusional or seeking attention. Despite this, Bernadette remained steadfast, unwavering in her descriptions of the beautiful lady and her divine mission. One of the most remarkable moments came during the 9th apparition on February 25, 1858, when the Virgin Mary instructed Bernadette to dig into the ground with her hands. Though she initially unearthed only mud, a spring began to flow from the spot soon after. This spring, now known as the miraculous waters of Lourdes, is believed to have healing properties and continues to draw millions of pilgrims from around the world. But Bernadette's life was far from glamorous. After the apparitions ended, she sought refuge from the public eye, eventually joining the Sisters of Charity in Nevers, where she lived a quiet and devout life. She suffered greatly from chronic illness, including asthma and tuberculosis, yet never complained. Accepting her suffering as part of her faith journey, Bernadette passed away on April 16, 1879, at the age of 35, leaving behind a legacy of faith and devotion. The Church, initially cautious in accepting her visions, eventually recognized their authenticity after rigorous investigations. In 1933, Bernadette was canonized as a saint by Pope Pius XI, affirming her significance as a model of humility and unwavering belief. Her body, discovered to be incorrupt during exhumations decades after her death, remains on display at the convent of St. Gildard in Nevers, further fueling devotion to her story. Lourdes, once an obscure village, has since become one of the most famous pilgrimage sites in the world. Millions visit the grotto every year to pray, drink from the spring, and seek healing. Bernadette's story, however, is not merely about miraculous healings or divine visions. It's a story of perseverance, trust, and a young girl's extraordinary courage in the face of adversity. Her life raises profound questions. Why was she chosen? What do her visions mean for us today? Could her unwavering faith be a beacon for modern humanity grappling with its own trials? These are questions we'll explore further in the next sections. Stay with us as we delve deeper into the prophecies and the profound lessons they carry for the challenges of our time. The recognition and legacy of Bernadette Soubirous are as extraordinary as her life itself, spanning centuries and touching millions of lives around the world. From the humble beginnings of a young peasant girl in Lourdes to becoming one of the most revered saints of the Catholic Church, Bernadette's story embodies unwavering faith, humility, and divine purpose. Her journey of recognition began in her lifetime and continues to resonate deeply, inspiring generations to seek solace, healing, and spiritual transformation. The Church's investigation and recognition. Initially, Bernadette's claims of seeing the Virgin Mary at the Grotto of Massabielle were met with skepticism from both religious authorities and local officials. The apparitions occurred at a time when France was grappling with political upheaval and anti-clerical sentiments, which made the Church cautious in verifying such supernatural phenomena. Despite this, the sincerity and consistency of Bernadette's testimony captured the attention of Church investigators. Her descriptions of the beautiful lady and the messages she relayed, repentance, prayer, and trust in God, were deeply aligned with Catholic teachings. The spring that Bernadette unearthed during one of her visions further bolstered her claims. Reports of miraculous healings associated with the water began to surface, drawing increasing attention to Lourdes. Skeptics demanded scientific explanations for these cures, but many cases defied medical understanding. In 1862, just 4 years after the apparitions, the Catholic Church officially recognized the events as authentic, declaring them a divine intervention. The local bishop at the time, Bertrand Sevier Lawrence, affirmed the apparitions and their significance, paving the way for Lourdes to become a major pilgrimage site. Bernadette's canonization. Bernadette's humility and simple faith remained unwavering throughout her life, even as her visions brought her fame. After joining the Sisters of Charity in Nevers, she lived a quiet and devout life, dedicating herself to prayer and service. Her health, however, continued to decline due to chronic illness, and she passed away in 1879 at the age of 35. Years after her death, Bernadette's story took on an even more miraculous dimension. During the exhumation of her body as part of the canonization process, it was discovered to be incorrupt. Her body showed no signs of decay despite having been buried for decades. This phenomenon, often seen as a sign of sainthood, further solidified her place in Catholic history. In 1933, Pope Pius XI canonized Bernadette as Saint Bernadette of Lourdes, recognizing her as a model of faith and humility. Her feast day, celebrated on April 16, serves as a reminder of her unwavering devotion to God. Lourdes as a pilgrimage site. The legacy of Bernadette is most visible in Lourdes, which has become one of the most important pilgrimage destinations in the world. Millions of people visit the Grotto of Massabielle each year to pray, light candles, and drink or bathe in the waters of the miraculous spring. Lourdes has been a place of profound spiritual renewal and healing, offering hope to those seeking relief from physical, emotional, or spiritual suffering. The Lourdes Medical Bureau, established to investigate claims of miraculous healings, has documented thousands of cases over the years, with a small number being officially recognized by the Church as inexplicable by science. These healings serve as a testament to the enduring power of faith and the divine mystery associated with the site. A legacy of faith and humility. Bernadette's legacy extends far beyond Lourdes. She is a symbol of humility, reminding the world that God often chooses the meek and the lowly to carry out his plans. Her story has inspired countless works of art, literature, and films, including the acclaimed 1943 movie The Song of Bernadette, which brought her story to an even wider audience. Saint Bernadette's life also serves as a profound spiritual lesson. Her acceptance of suffering, her trust in God's will, and her quiet defiance of skepticism resonate with people from all walks of life. For believers, her story is a reminder of the power of prayer and the importance of living a life rooted in faith. For others, it's a testament to the strength of human resilience and the transformative power of belief. Modern relevance of Bernadette's legacy. In today's world, where skepticism and materialism often overshadow spirituality, Bernadette's story offers a counterpoint. Her unwavering trust in the divine, even amidst suffering and doubt, challenges us to reflect on our own beliefs and priorities. The message of the Virgin Mary to Bernadette, one of repentance, prayer, and compassion, is as relevant today as it was in 1858. Ultimately, the recognition and legacy of Bernadette Soubirous are a testament to the enduring impact of faith and humility. Her story continues to inspire millions, inviting them to look beyond the mundane and seek deeper meaning in their lives. As the faithful journey to Lourdes to experience the miraculous spring, they carry with them the hope and belief that Bernadette so steadfastly embodied. Her life is a beacon of light, reminding the world that even the simplest among us can carry out a divine mission. Saint Bernadette Soubirous' legacy is not just a historical narrative, but a living testament that continues to impact the lives of millions. The lessons derived from her life, particularly her faith, humility, and resilience in the face of adversity, hold profound relevance today. As we move toward 2025, the challenges we face, both personal and societal, demand the kind of deep reflection and unwavering trust in higher purposes that Bernadette exemplified. Analyzing the spiritual, social, and cultural implications of her story helps illuminate how her life resonates with modern global issues and how her influence can continue to shape the future. The role of faith in times of crisis. In an increasingly secular world, many people face the erosion of spiritual values, often in the wake of personal or societal crises. The modern era, marked by political instability, environmental catastrophes, and a rapidly changing social landscape, creates a sense of uncertainty that can lead people to feel disconnected from the traditional sources of comfort and meaning. Yet, in times of uncertainty, the example of Bernadette, whose faith was tested by personal suffering and public skepticism, reminds us of the transformative power of unwavering belief. As the world enters 2025, many of us are witnessing a period of global crisis. Whether it's the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic, the ongoing climate crisis, or the continuing social divides in various countries, the need for spiritual renewal is ever more pressing. Bernadette's story, rooted in the power of personal prayer and devotion to a higher calling, provides a model for those looking to find strength in faith. Just as Bernadette persisted in following the guidance she received from the Virgin Mary despite disbelief and opposition, so too can individuals today draw strength from their faith in overcoming modern-day challenges. Lourdes, the site of her visions, continues to serve as a beacon of hope and healing for those suffering physical ailments, mental struggles, and spiritual crises. The miracles attributed to Lourdes and the testimonies of those who have experienced inexplicable healing reflect a deep, timeless truth: faith can be a source of comfort and transformation. Even in a world that often prioritizes reason and materialism over spiritual experience. The number of pilgrims to Lourdes continues to rise. And in the coming years, it will likely remain a center where individuals seek both physical and spiritual renewal. The intersection of science and spirituality. As we approach 2025, one of the most significant conversations in global society revolves around the increasing intersection of science and spirituality. Bernadette's life and the ongoing miracles at Lourdes challenge the prevailing skepticism in modern science and question whether the world is entirely governed by materialism or if there is room for a deeper, more spiritual understanding of reality. Her incorruptible body, discovered decades after her death, is often cited as an example of the supernatural phenomena that some view as proof of divine intervention. While scientific rationalism may dismiss such events as anomalies or natural phenomena, many continue to believe in the miraculous. Inspired by Bernadette's testimony and the healing waters of Lourdes. The healing miracles at Lourdes, verified by the Lourdes Medical Bureau, have also continued to spark conversations on the boundaries of medical science. More than 70 medically unexplained cures have been officially recognized by the Catholic Church, fueling debates between scientific communities and religious circles. In 2025, as we see advances in medical technology, these debates are expected to intensify, with increased collaboration between scientists, doctors, and religious authorities in understanding and exploring phenomena that do not fit neatly into established medical or scientific paradigms. This convergence of science and spirituality offers an opportunity for dialogue and growth. It encourages the exploration of questions that transcend human comprehension and invites society to remain open to the mysteries of the universe. Much like Bernadette's openness to the message delivered by the Virgin Mary. Whether one believes in miracles or not, the combination of faith and science challenges us to embrace a fuller, more holistic understanding of human existence that goes beyond the material realm. The importance of humility and service. At the heart of Bernadette's legacy is her humility. She was not an intellectual, nor a leader in a formal sense. She was an ordinary young girl chosen to carry an extraordinary message. Her life stands as a stark reminder that greatness in the eyes of God often comes from a place of humility and service, not power or status. Bernadette's life was one of deep simplicity, as she sought only to fulfill the will of God, rather than seeking fame or glory. This profound humility is an essential lesson for the modern world. As we move toward 2025, the values of humility and service are crucial in a world that often elevates self-promotion and individualism. In many parts of the world, societal values are becoming increasingly materialistic, with success being equated with wealth, power, or fame. Bernadette's life reminds us that true greatness lies in serving others and in living with integrity, no matter the circumstances. Her story encourages those in positions of power and influence to remember the importance of caring for the poor, the sick, and the marginalized. In a time of rising inequality and increasing disconnection, Bernadette's example of love and service serves as a call for social justice and compassion. In 2025, as global societies wrestle with issues such as poverty, inequality, and social justice, the model of humility and service embodied by Bernadette can serve as a guiding principle for those working toward creating a more equitable and compassionate world. Her life shows that true spiritual fulfillment and societal progress come not from wealth or fame but from loving and caring for others with sincerity and dedication. Spiritual pilgrimages and global unity. One of the most enduring aspects of Bernadette's legacy is the pilgrimage to Lourdes. As an international site of pilgrimage, Lourdes attracts people from all walks of life. from different corners of the globe. Regardless of nationality, race, or background. It serves as a place where individuals can come together, united in their common desire for healing, prayer, and hope. In 2025, the role of spiritual pilgrimages is becoming increasingly important in fostering global unity. Amid the challenges of an increasingly fragmented world, where people are divided by politics, culture, and identity, places like Lourdes offer a shared space for spiritual renewal and mutual understanding. The legacy of Bernadette, therefore, can be seen as a model for fostering unity among diverse peoples and faiths through a common experience of pilgrimage, prayer, and healing. As more individuals turn to spirituality for solace, places like Lourdes can continue to serve as powerful symbols of hope and collective healing, bringing people together in ways that transcend national or cultural divisions. Conclusion: looking to 2025. The story of Saint Bernadette Soubirous remains as relevant today as it did in her time. In the face of modern-day challenges, whether personal, social, or spiritual, her life offers a model of faith, humility, and unwavering trust in God's plan. As we approach 2025, her legacy will continue to inspire individuals to seek a deeper connection with the divine, to embrace the power of faith, and to serve others with love and compassion. Bernadette's enduring impact shows that her life, rooted in the humble visions of a young girl, has the potential to shape the spiritual and cultural landscape of the future, reminding us all of the power of simple, unwavering faith. Saint Bernadette Soubirous' life is filled with examples of spiritual perseverance, divine messages, and profound lessons that continue to inspire millions today. Each part of her story carries a distinct spiritual message, offering profound insights that are still relevant in the context of the modern world. By reflecting on specific examples from her life, we can draw out spiritual lessons that have shaped not only Catholic tradition but also the broader spiritual and philosophical discourse. 1. The apparitions of the Virgin Mary. One of the most significant aspects of Bernadette's life is her experience of the apparitions of the Virgin Mary in Lourdes. Between February 11 and July 16, 1858, Bernadette saw the Virgin Mary 18 times, during which the Virgin Mary entrusted her with powerful messages. The most notable lesson here is Bernadette's deep faith and trust in her divine calling. Despite the skepticism and ridicule she faced from the local community and religious authorities. During the first apparition, Bernadette, only 14 years old at the time, was alone in the grotto near her home when she experienced the vision. Initially, she didn't fully comprehend the significance of the event. Yet she faithfully returned to the grotto each day in obedience to what she believed was God's will. This moment offers an important lesson in spiritual obedience. Bernadette did not seek fame or glory from her visions. Instead, she humbly accepted what was asked of her, even when faced with disbelief and mockery. For contemporary followers, the lesson is clear: faith does not demand immediate understanding or validation from others. Just as Bernadette embraced her mission without fully understanding it, individuals are called to trust in their spiritual journeys, even when they face doubt or resistance from others. The humility and courage displayed by Bernadette in accepting her divine mission serves as a powerful reminder that obedience to divine guidance, even in difficult circumstances, is an act of deep spiritual faith. 2. The miracle of the healing spring. Perhaps one of the most profound spiritual lessons from Bernadette's life is tied to the healing spring that sprang forth from the ground at the site of the apparitions. In response to the Virgin Mary's instructions, Bernadette began to dig in the dirt, and a spring of water emerged. This water has since been believed by millions to have healing properties. People from all over the world visit Lourdes to bathe in or drink the water in hopes of miraculous healing. The lesson here is one of faith in divine providence. Bernadette did not know that a spring would emerge when she began digging. She simply followed the instructions she received in her vision. Despite the fact that at the time there was no visible sign of the water. The emerging spring is a powerful symbol of faith's transformative and life-giving power. It represents the idea that, by following divine guidance, even when it seems impractical or illogical, we can uncover blessings and grace that we would not have otherwise encountered. For the modern world, this example can teach us about trusting in the unseen and believing that there is a higher purpose at work, even in situations where we cannot immediately understand the outcomes. Just as the spring of water appeared through faith and obedience, our own journeys of faith can bring about unexpected blessings that nurture and heal us spiritually, emotionally, and physically. 3. Bernadette's humility and her experience of suffering. Another deeply spiritual example from Bernadette's life is her response to the suffering she endured after her visions. While many people would have sought recognition or validation for such extraordinary experiences, Bernadette's humility and willingness to endure suffering with grace are noteworthy. After her visions, she faced opposition from both the local community and religious authorities, who questioned her authenticity. This skepticism, along with her ongoing health issues, led Bernadette to experience profound personal suffering. In particular, Bernadette was afflicted with tuberculosis, which severely impacted her health and quality of life. Despite her illness, she continued to live a humble and prayerful life, never seeking pity or fame. She entered the convent of the Sisters of Charity in Nevers, where she spent the remainder of her life. There, she endured the suffering of illness with deep spiritual resignation, offering her pain as an act of service to God. Bernadette's example teaches us that suffering, although painful, can be a pathway to deeper spiritual growth and closeness to God. Her unwavering acceptance of her physical suffering, coupled with her commitment to maintaining her humility and devotion, demonstrates the spiritual truth that our trials are not without purpose. In her case, Bernadette's suffering became a source of grace and a means of spiritual transformation, not just for herself but for all those who learned of her story. In the face of suffering, Bernadette remained a model of patience, faith, and perseverance. Her humility, even in the face of great personal pain, invites modern individuals to look at their own challenges and sufferings through the lens of spiritual growth. It teaches us to offer our pain as a way of participating in the suffering of Christ, finding meaning and strength in our struggles. 4. The Virgin Mary's message of repentance and prayer. In the apparitions, the Virgin Mary conveyed powerful messages, calling for repentance, prayer, and penance. One of the most significant aspects of her message was the call to pray for sinners and to do penance. This invitation to spiritual growth through repentance is an essential part of Bernadette's legacy. She was entrusted with the task of sharing the Virgin Mary's message with the world, which has since become a cornerstone of spiritual practice for many Catholics. The call to repentance, as understood by Bernadette, was not simply a condemnation of sin but an invitation to grow spiritually and turn one's heart toward God. The message of prayer and penance resonates with individuals who are seeking a deeper connection to their spiritual roots. The spiritual lesson here is about the transformative power of repentance, not as a form of guilt or shame but as a means of purifying the heart and soul in preparation for greater closeness to God. In today's world, where distractions are abundant and secular values often dominate, Bernadette's message encourages individuals to seek moments of reflection and renewal. It urges us to approach life with an openness to repentance, recognizing that every moment is an opportunity to turn away from selfish desires and toward divine love and grace. Through prayer and penance, we can strengthen our spiritual lives and offer ourselves as instruments of peace and healing. 5. Bernadette's last words and her spiritual insight. Saint Bernadette's final words are another poignant aspect of her life that offers spiritual insight. Before her death, she uttered the words, "I have not forgotten." These words were interpreted as a reflection of her deep commitment to the messages she had received from the Virgin Mary, as well as her constant devotion to God's will throughout her life. These words encapsulate Bernadette's unwavering faith. Even in the face of death, her life and death underscore the power of living in constant remembrance of divine promises and truth. In a world where distractions can easily pull us away from our spiritual paths, Bernadette's last words remind us of the importance of keeping God's presence in our lives at all times. Her unwavering faith, even in death, shows that true spiritual fulfillment comes from remembering and living out divine truths every day. Conclusion. Through specific examples from Bernadette's life, we can glean rich spiritual lessons. From her humble obedience in the face of doubt to the miraculous spring of water, each part of her story invites us to deepen our faith, embrace humility, endure suffering with grace, and live in constant remembrance of God's presence. As we reflect on Bernadette's life and apply these lessons to our own, we are reminded that spiritual growth often comes through moments of faith, resilience, and obedience, especially when we remain humble and open to divine guidance. Saint Bernadette Soubirous' life and legacy are not only a testament to faith and perseverance but also a profound source of spiritual inspiration for millions of people around the world. Her simple, humble life, marked by extraordinary events and deep personal suffering, offers us a model of how to live a life grounded in faith, humility, and devotion. Bernadette's unwavering commitment to her divine calling, her obedience to the Virgin Mary's messages, and her deep trust in God's will remind us that faith is often not about seeking glory or validation, but about listening to divine guidance, following it with sincerity, and embracing the trials that come along the way. From her first vision of the Virgin Mary in the Grotto of Lourdes to the powerful healing waters that emerged from the ground, Bernadette's story continues to inspire people to this day. Her response to the skepticism and ridicule she faced is a profound reminder that faith is not dependent on human recognition, but on a deep, personal relationship with the divine. The water of Lourdes, which continues to heal and bring hope to many, symbolizes the life-giving power of faith and prayer. And it is a testament to Bernadette's role as an instrument of God's grace. However, Bernadette's story does not end with her visions and the miracles that followed. Her life after the apparitions was one of deep suffering and personal sacrifice. Yet she faced each challenge with incredible grace, maintaining her faith even in the most difficult circumstances. Her time in the convent, her personal illness, and her eventual death offer important lessons about the nature of suffering and the call to live with humility and trust in God's plan. Bernadette's response to her suffering teaches us that pain, though deeply challenging, can be a source of spiritual growth and a means of drawing closer to God. Moreover, the messages Bernadette received from the Virgin Mary, calls to prayer, repentance, and penance, are timeless and universal. These messages, which have resonated through the centuries, invite us to reflect on our own spiritual lives. In a world that is often distracted by material concerns and personal ambition, Bernadette's life reminds us to return to the core of the Christian faith, prayer, humility, and a sincere desire to follow God's will. By embracing these principles, we can find spiritual renewal and a deeper connection to our faith. A call to action. Saint Bernadette's legacy is not just a historical one, it is a living, breathing testament to the power of faith and the transformative potential of prayer and penance. In her story, we are invited to reflect on our own spiritual journeys and to consider how we can incorporate some of the lessons from her life into our own. The following call to action encourages us to take practical steps in living out Bernadette's legacy in our daily lives. Embrace humility and obedience. Bernadette's humility and her willingness to obey God's will, even when it was difficult and incomprehensible, offer a powerful example for us. In our own lives, we may not always understand why things happen or why we face certain challenges. But we are called to trust in God's plan and to act with humility and obedience. Take time each day to reflect on God's guidance and commit to following it, no matter how difficult it may seem. Seek prayer and repentance. One of the central messages Bernadette received from the Virgin Mary was a call to prayer and penance. In today's fast-paced world, it is easy to neglect these aspects of our faith. Make prayer a daily practice, whether through formal prayers, meditation, or simply taking time to be present with God. Additionally, seek opportunities for personal repentance and spiritual renewal. Recognize the areas in your life where you need to grow spiritually and ask for God's help in overcoming them. Live with compassion and service to others. Bernadette's story is also one of service and love for others. Despite her own suffering, she never turned inward in selfishness. Instead, she focused on her faith and the needs of others. In our own lives, we can take inspiration from Bernadette's example by reaching out to those in need, offering compassion and support, and seeking ways to serve others with love and kindness. Trust in God's healing power. The healing waters of Lourdes continue to inspire millions of people, and they are a powerful symbol of God's grace and healing power. Whether in physical or emotional pain, we are called to trust in God's ability to heal us. If you or someone you know is struggling, take time to pray for healing, both for the body and the soul, and trust that God's grace is abundant and can bring about transformation, even in the most challenging situations. Persevere in faith through suffering. Bernadette's life was marked by suffering, yet she remained steadfast in her faith. Whether you are facing personal difficulties, health challenges, or emotional struggles, take inspiration from her perseverance. Remember that suffering is not meaningless. It can lead to spiritual growth and bring us closer to God. Offer your challenges and pains to God, knowing that He can use them for a greater purpose. Pilgrimage to Lourdes, if possible. Consider making a pilgrimage to Lourdes, where millions of people travel each year to experience the healing power of the waters and the sacredness of the place. The pilgrimage to Lourdes is not just about physical healing, it is a spiritual journey of renewal and reflection. For many, it is an opportunity to encounter God in a profound way, just as Bernadette did. Conclusion. Saint Bernadette Soubirous' life is a powerful reminder that faith, humility, and perseverance can transform even the most difficult circumstances into opportunities for spiritual growth. Her story calls us to a deeper relationship with God and encourages us to live lives of service, prayer, and humility. Through Bernadette's example, we are reminded that the trials of life are not barriers to spiritual growth, but rather avenues for encountering God's grace. As we reflect on Bernadette's life and legacy, let us commit to following her example of trust and obedience. Embrace the call to prayer and repentance, and seek opportunities to serve others with love and compassion. Let us also remember that, like the spring of water that emerged from the ground at Lourdes, the grace of God can flow through our lives, bringing healing and transformation. In this way, we can carry forward Bernadette's legacy and continue to live out the spiritual lessons she imparted through her life, her vision, and her deep faith. Let us be inspired to live as Bernadette did, humble, faithful, and obedient to God's call, and allow her legacy to shape our own journeys of faith, service, and healing.